Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Define Disaster. This is Battlefield 4. In today's weapon review, we're going to be taking a closer look at the semi-automatic shotgun, the M1014. We're going to be looking at its properties, its stats, which playstyle best suits it, and whether or not, of course, you should be using this for close encounter combat in Battlefield 4. To start things off, of course, we're going to be taking a look at the stats of the M1014. To be precise, we're going to be looking at them with buckshot equipped, not flechette, frag, or slug, but buckshot. And to start things off, of course, we've got the damage model. Usual for a semi-automatic shotgun here, we have a maximum damage of 11.2 and a minimum damage of 5.6, with your usual decay point, with your maximum damage ending at 24 meters and your drop off at 5.6. So 5.6 damage reached at 32 meters. In effect, however, you're not going to actually be doing that much damage at these ranges, despite you still having a decent damage output, because of course your shots aren't actually going to be hitting. With that being said, it's worth mentioning here that you have 12 pellets per shot. This isn't the highest. There are some out there with 13. However, there isn't much variance regarding pellet count for the semi-automatic shotgun, so this is just fine and amongst the average values that you will find. Next up then, we have the fire rate of the M1014, second highest in its class for the semi-automatic shotguns at 210 rounds per minute, only beat out by the QBS 09 at 230 rounds per minute. Plenty to put out a ridiculous amount of damage in close quarter. You shouldn't find yourself being outgunned by too many shotguns, unless of course you come across somebody using a pump action shotgun at a distance slightly beyond what you can usually one-shot kill your enemies. Next up then, we have the magazine size of the M1014, that is 8 in this case, enough to kill plenty of enemies, not the highest. You have something like, for example, of course, the Dow 12 with 12 rounds to shoot, or stuff like the Sega 12K, which also has more than the M1014. However, there's plenty here to go through most of a squad of enemies, or maybe even two if you're lucky enough. What should be noted, however, with this reload process or with the magazine size is that these are single shells, single cartridges, and as such, when we get to reload, as you'll know, you singly load them in. This is not magazine fed, and it will thus take you significantly longer to reload this gun if you, for example, are empty. With that being said, let's move on then to the said reload times at 0.55 seconds. This is the amount of time it will take you to reload one shell. However, you should note here, you can always stop this reload process. Whenever you're finding yourself in a situation where you want to stop reloading, but you're mid-reload, you've got an enemy up against you, you can just stop the reload by firing. And as such, this is one of the big advantages of having a single shell, single cartridge fed shotgun. You never really are stuck in the reload as you would be, for example, with a magazine fed shotgun. You can just fire away and stop the reload, as long as, of course, you still have at least one cartridge to shoot. An empty gun won't shoot whether or not you're reloading or not, of course. Next up then, we have recoil for the M1014 with a vertical recoil of 1 degree, pull to the left of negative 0.5 and pull to the right of 1.2. There's nothing much to say about recoil on shotguns. It's not too interesting, not too important. Let's just put it this way, this gun will pull more to the right than anything else, and the recoil isn't unmanageable. You are, after all, using a shotgun in close quarter, not for precision headshot shooting at medium to long range. Last but not least, we have the accuracy of this gun with an ADS value of 0.1 while standing still and aiming down sight, and a IDS or hip fire value of 0.8. Very much a very accurate gun. However, of course, cone of fire is not included in this measurement, and it's a bit difficult to actually know how accurate these shotguns really are. However, from the ADS perspective, it's all amongst the usuals to be expected from a semi-automatic shotgun. Nothing special here, nothing fantastic. The shotgun will be plenty accurate for you to kill anybody in the close quarter combat that it is meant for. Now, with the stats of the M1014 being covered, how do I like to run my M1014 when I run around the battlefield with it? Well, optic is a personal choice. In my case, for shotguns, I usually run a Cobra RDS. I would, of course, recommend using a red dot sight and not necessarily the iron sight, or even a Fleur or Iron V or medium range sights. This is, after all, a shotgun. I think this is self-explanatory. However, do whatever you feel most comfortable here. In the end, you're the one who has to hit your target and not me. Whatever sight suits you best is the one that hopefully gets you the best performance ratings. Next up, accessory. I go for a laser sight with a shotgun, namely because, of course, you're trying to hip fire this gun a lot in close quarter, and the laser sight will improve your hip fire accuracy. If you have difficulties turning it off in smoky situations, feeling it's giving away your position, don't equip it in the first place. Barrel attachments, this is where one could maybe have a little bit more of a discussion. If you're trying to extend the range of the shotgun, you may want to go for something like a modified choke or a full choke. However, I usually do this, or this kind of modifications of my shotguns, for the pump action shotguns, which I use more flexibly than just pure close quarter exclusive TDM. For my M1014, however, this is a close quarter exclusive TDM shotgun for me, and as such I run it with a standard barrel. No modified choke, no full choke. I like the relatively wide spread that allows me to be even less accurate than I usually have to be with shotguns, and just sloppily aim in the rough direction of my enemy to take them out. At least this is the way I run the M1014. If you're trying to extend the range, or maybe even the applicability of the M1014 to a wider game mode and combat distance arrangement, you may want to use something like a modified or full choke. The choice is of course yours and dependent on both where you're using this gun and how you're using it. Next up we have ammo, and I've been asked to make a little bit of a guide about the shotgun ammo, which I probably will do at one point. Today's not that day, however. What should be said is buckshot is pretty much universally almost always the best munitions you should be using for a shotgun, and in this case it should suffice to say that you guys should be using buckshot unless you know a specific reason to why you are using a different type of ammo for your shotgun. Last but not least, then we have under barrel attachments. For me this is pretty obvious as well. When I'm using a shotgun, I'm moving a lot, I'm firing while moving, running, sprinting, I'm on the move, I'm in close quarters, I want a vertical grip, I want to be as accurate as possible by jumping around my enemies, annoying them with a shotgun. What I don't need is an angled foregrip, because I don't need first shot recoil multiplier control, because a shotgun has not got too much recoil to control in close quarter, and I certainly do not need something like a ergo vertical grip to minutely improve my accuracy of my shotgun. I am after all right in front of my enemy, and I should usually be hitting him unless I'm completely aiming sideways, backwards, and not wherever he is. With that being said, what is my opinion on the M1014? Well, frankly, it is my favorite semi-automatic shotgun in Battlefield 4. The reason for it is, frankly, it's pretty much the best of all worlds. I'll get actually into the reason in just a little bit, but what should be said about this shotgun is, frankly, I play it very similar to something like an AS-Val. Hyper aggressive, very much exclusive close quarter, right in your enemy's face, confusing them, flanking them, constantly on the move, not really a defensive playstyle, a very offensive playstyle. And if you haven't seen my video on the AS-Val, I go in a little bit more detail to what kind of playstyle it requires. You can apply this pretty much similarly to the M1014. With that being said, why do I like the M1014 so much? In my opinion, it's not the best at any certain given thing, but it's the best mix. It's the ace of the semi-automatic shotgun. It's got the second highest fire rate. It's got a single fed cartridge reload, that is to say not a magazine reload, which in my opinion is vital to the shotgun. If you're taking out lots of enemies, this allows you to constantly being reload without actually endangering yourself of getting in a firefight mid reload. Fantastic, avoids the big weakness of trying to reload when engaging an enemy. As such, this is why one of the reasons why I love the M1014 as much as I do. Furthermore, the reload's relatively quick, the shotgun feels nimble, it feels accurate, it feels like you can just run around aiming people down all the time. It's just got a good vibe to it. And frankly, the stats support that feeling. It's generally all around pretty good. It's got no key weakness under the shotguns. The QBS is, in my opinion, a close competitor to it. The problem with the QBS, in my opinion, is, however, that A, the reload takes longer per cartridge, and B, it's got less shot. It's 6 versus 8 on the ammo count, and I do find myself when using the QBS sometimes actually running out of ammo mid firefight. That is to say, not a matter of I haven't reloaded beforehand, I went into a firefight or went into an area with 2 or 3, 4 enemies beforehand with a full 6 shots and come out after killing 2 or 3 of them with 1 left in front of me with not a single shot to fire, having to switch to a secondary, putting me at a significant disadvantage. This happens less with the M1014. Those 2 extra shots do make an actual difference. If you were to say maybe that you prefer the Dow 12, my argument to that would be you're constantly reloading this gun so long that at one point you just get fed up. The gun really is constantly reloading because while it does have a huge magazine, which in my opinion is unnecessary, it on the other hand does not have the quick reload to back that up. You're reloading over a second for each shot. It gets annoying. The M1014 is simply a little bit more nimble, a little bit more flexible then. That's at least my take on the M1014. I know using shotguns may not be the most popular thing in Battlefield 4, and frankly I don't use them often, just the occasional bit of M1014 or Spaz 12, otherwise I'm not too fond of the shotguns in general. With that being said though, let me know what your experiences are with this shotgun. Have you yet actually tried it out? If you're looking for some good maps to run the M1014 on, I would definitely recommend close quarter TDM maps where there's not too much head glitching cover, so something like Zavod, maybe even Parcel Storm is a good option to run this on. As said, run it hyper aggressively, try to get in your enemy's face and just make sure your aim is on point when you then shoot them. Other than that, you should have an easy time racking up a decent kill streak with this gun. With that being said though, let me know about your experiences down below in the comment with the M1014. Do you like it? Do you hate it? When do you use it? Is there a key strength or weakness that I have omitted or overlooked of this weapon, or maybe other shotguns that I have kind of in passing compared it to? Feel free to leave down below your experiences regarding this, as well as of course future video suggestions both for Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4. But with that being said, at this point I'd like to thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next Battlefield 4 video.